In the vote counting process, Bartow County, Georgia, a Republican stronghold, is conducting a hand audit of the Perdue-Ossoff Senate race. Now, it wasn't required, and Stephen Fowler, who is a reporter for Georgia Public Broadcasting, tweeted the hand recount, included pictures and interviews with some of the poll workers and volunteers. Again, it wasn't required. The vote was not even close in Bartow County, but the election officials there said they wanted to restore faith in the elections process and allow people access to see what exactly went on. By the way, Bartow County overwhelmingly voted for David Perdue. The recount matched the vote from last Tuesday, and there was no evidence of voter fraud. There were some discrepancies, but again, no major problems. One GOP monitor named Judy Kilgore told Fowler, quote, "Observing the process is key to becoming an informed voter, and it's a way people can rebuild trust with their own eyes." She said she could personally hear the poll workers and walk around the tables and observe what they were doing, according to that poll worker. Now, joining us to talk more about this and the overall state of voter integrity in Georgia and across the country is the executive director of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump, Bruce LeVell. Bruce, great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, I was quite interested by this in Bartow County. Not surprised that they're doing this in a Republican stronghold. A little bit different, obviously, when you hear a woman saying, I could walk around, I could see the tables, I could hear what people were doing. Yeah. Much different scenario than what we saw on election night in Fulton County at State Farm Arena. And I think if more counties employ these types of, transparency and public integrity exercises, I think voters would be a lot more confident in the system. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, 159 counties, John, one down, 158 counties to go. I mean, let's just be real with this.
Yeah.
And I say go back and look at November 3rd night. But listen, here's the thing. The bottom line is that I love the fact that they did show some transparency and like, hey, this is how we do it. All we've been saying all along, and this is, applicable to all the battleground states, especially across the nation, is to come up with a really strong, comprehensive voter election process, and whether it be voter ID, whatever it is that you have to do. But I challenge them to do the same process in 158 more counties, especially Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, and the other neighboring counties around there, which have more density. Mm-hmm. And so that's all we've been saying all along. So kudos to him and kudos for a nonpartisan agreement. I think they flipped the coin.
That's right. They did flip a coin.
Yeah. So I admire the transparency, but I was praying and hoping that, hey, one down, like I said, 158 more counties to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not apples to apples comparison. Bartow County, obviously much different than Fulton County, as you talked about density. But the thing is when you have an election, you got all these kind of, weird parts about it, mail-in votes and, way more than anticipated. And you have people that only do this every 4 years or so. There are going to be a lot of problems. That's going to lead to a lack of confidence. And we got to get back to that place where people feel confident about the elections process. And I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. Well, I've said it from day one, and I still stand by this. Being a former chairman of one of the largest counties in the country, the Republican Party here in Georgia, John, and I've said this, that the mail-in ballots and the loss of chain of custody is a very conflict of interest for both sides of the aisle. Because I tell my Democrat friends that, hey, this could be you now, or either side. So it's very imperative, and I'm praying that we come up with a really strong, really like ironclad voter process where we don't have this conversation like this anymore. Listen, we put people on the moon, John, for crying out loud.
Right.
I know we can do this process. People died in the South, especially just to get to the polls. My uncles and dad and everyone, that what they went through to get to the polls. And here we are, having these conflict of interests as it relates, and I'll throw Zuckerberg on the bus on this, paying third parties and funding mechanisms to put ballot boxes here and there. This is why, all the reasons why, yes, we do need to get strong on the future of how we go to our polls.
We kind of gave a charge here in the program of people to get more involved in their local elections processes so they can see it, they can know who the players are. And this we wanted to highlight because it's exactly what we were talking about. Now let's move on and talk about Senator-elect Raphael Warnock. Looks like he's going to be sworn in after Joe Biden is sworn in as president. Now, he, like a lot of other Democrats, are focused on the race of the people who were in that Capitol Hill mob, not necessarily on what they did or why they did it. Only Reverend Warnock did it from the pulpit of Ebenezer Baptist Church last week. And take a listen.
And we saw it in the paradox between the response between those who were clearly insurrectionists They were not protesters, they were rioters, tearing up the people's house, and they were handled with the kind of kid gloves with humanity. One could not help but juxtapose that to the response to those who were responding this summer to the deaths of George Floyd and the death of Breonna Taylor, those who rose up in peaceful, nonviolent struggle and were met with brute force.
The one was peaceful and nonviolent, the other one obviously not, according to Reverend Warnock there. Now, can the country really unite if Senator-elect Warnock and President-elect Biden continue to inject race into everything, like as soon as it happens, before the investigation is complete, before everyone is rounded up and really arrested here?
No, it won't unite. They keep throwing out these incendiary, comments, like I've said all along about Reverend Warnock. And listen, John, listen, when you put me on this show, my title is diversity. This is my wheelhouse. And I'm going to tell you, when you have a particular person, wherever you are, with you in the ministry or wherever you are as a leader in the Congress or Senate, and you pander just for one particular race and you say things like that just to pander and to keep your base active, you do a disservice to all the other cultures that live here in Georgia. Listen, Georgia is one of the most culturally diverse states in the country. My church alone has 9,000 members with 118 different cultures. So you see who he was talking to, the base of his congregation, which does a disservice to his folks, his followers, his congregation, what have you. It does nothing for cultural reconciliation. And this is the thing that, unfortunately, that's been guilty on a lot of folks, that how they message and how they put things out there. Listen, when he talks about that, what they stormed and this, yeah, you're absolutely right. John, there's hundreds of thousands of businesses across the country that were victims of the autonomous zones who are shut down. Watch this, John, on your show. With this first quarter, pay attention to the folks filing Chapter 7 and 11 on their small businesses who were victims of the autonomous zone, who mayors in Democrat cities, John, denied the president of even Republican governors to come in with the National Guard to save these businesses. Right. Now, all of a sudden, you have a message about what happened when this last particular folks that stormed the Capitol. I mean, the 4-year-old girl that was killed down here on University Avenue, where Mayor Lance Bottoms refused to fund the police or deploy the police out there and allow this autonomous zone to victimize and to hijack these small businesses. I mean, come on now, calling the kettle black.
No,
now.
You have to. So, I mean, you remember when the motto for the city of Atlanta was "It's too busy to hate." I mean, you would think that you think that Raphael Warnock would want to get to the business of the Senate. They need to help out these businesses. This pandemic is obviously still raging, and they're focused on race. They're focused on revenge, and the American public is withering in the wind. Bruce, great to see you. We got to run to commercial break. A pleasure to speak with you as always. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, John.